This is Erica Sprigler's Persuasive speech. We've got 3 in attendance there. 1 the speaker, and this one here. Erica, please begin.
Alright, so how many of you have taken a class that talks about mental illness before it was required if you went to college or if you did a psychology class in high school?
I haven't.
Haven't? They normally aren't required until you go to college, if you go to college. You don't have to, and what I believe is that it should be enforced from about middle school age and up to encourage students to know about the mental illness so that there isn't nearly as much of a stigma, and that I think it's important to know so that we can show kindness and understanding to those who do have them. And I also think offering education on this will encourage kids to want to go into fields when they get older that work with these individuals. So again, my main points are that I think we should be introducing mental health in kids' lives earlier to encourage them to be kind and understanding to those with them, to reduce stigmas about mental illness, and to encourage children to go into fields that can work with these. So as I started, getting kids to have a broader understanding of what mental illness is allows them to be more open to the idea of it and comfortable, and just overall have a good idea of how to handle these situations so that they aren't just thrown at it. I'm gonna mess up his name. DeSuzio, Stember, and Strinkty did a program in the schools where they worked with about 130 kids who were middle school age children, and they introduced them to mental illness, and while they did this, the kids had a really positive reaction and learned how to be understanding and kind to those who were suffering mental illness. Also in another school, in a survey done by Stortz, Adam et al., they used puppets to explain to elementary age students what mental illness was and how to react to people who might have it, or if they have family members that are suffering with it. And it worked out really well, and they're doing further research to see if it can be used more broadly among middle school and elementary. It's the younger the better. Again, the second reason I think we should be doing it is because it'll reduce the stigma. Teaching kids earlier on about the mental illnesses will help reduce any form of stigma. In an article by Rooch, Angermeyer, and Cornigan, they talked about the effects that stigmas can have on those actually suffering from mental illness, and how they have low self-esteem, they don't feel, they have low worth of being, and that the stigmas add on to it because not only do other people feel that they are less of people or that they are undeserving, but they eventually begin to fall into those stigmas themselves. So if we get the kids in earlier and we just start teaching them about mental illness and how to just be understanding, we can reduce stigma a ton, and not only will there be less stigma, but the people who are actually suffering will feel more comfortable and accepted in normal communities. The last option why I think we should do it is that it can encourage kids to grow into life and do fields such as social work or different programs where they can offer their assistance and they have at least a minimal understanding of what they're working with and how to deal with these populations. In an article by Bach and Royce, they did a study on about 403 social work students and 205, I believe, non-social work students, and asked them what encouraged them to go into the field of social work. And the highest answers that they got were that they had some form of, like, in their environment, they had different factors that encouraged them, where they saw populations that needed help or advocating, and it really reinforced for them that that's what they wanted to go into. As long as schools where they had more education options and where you could learn more about vast regions of, for instance, mental illness, or a specific one if they had a class on, like, alcoholism or something in those broad terms, it really encouraged them to want to go forth with that. And so it can encourage children to work when they get older with those fields and really help. The one negative thing people love to bring up with the idea of teaching kids about mental illness younger is that lots of teachers aren't prepared to do that. And it can, in a study by Ware and Markham, they all agreed that teachers should be teaching this at younger ages, but that many of them are so poorly educated in it themselves that the kids are then getting skewed ideas of what the mental illness is and how to handle it and how to treat these people, which then in turn adds to the stigma and just has negative consequences all around. But again, they all agreed the kids need to have it, so it's just getting proper educated teachers or individuals into these schools. So, in conclusion, I think the main points are that we need to be teaching kids at younger ages about mental illnesses so that they can be kind and understanding and caring of those who have them, to reduce the stigma, and to hopefully further their choice of education so that they go into these fields and can become anyone who's got, whether it's an anti-stigma campaign leader or social worker, anything. I just think it's very beneficial. And I also made brochures